Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this edition of Slovenia Bites, Tapas for your travel bug. Last week, we talked about the cultural, political, governmental history of Slovenia, and Tine shared some of his own personal experience of the period in which Slovenia became an independent country from Yugoslavia in the 90s, which was really interesting. So if you didn't catch that, please go back and watch that. It's his particular experiences toward the end. So if you want to fast forward, that's okay. And we taught you a word, and I'm not going to tell you the word unless you watch it. But this week, we're going to talk about how to get to Slovenia and then how to sort of get around once you're there, predominantly from the US and Canada, because that's where we're all from. And we're going to teach you a phrase that is useful for travels. And I forgot to introduce us. I'm Ashley, and that's
Tine. So Ashley sits in her home office in Northern California.
Yeah, this is actually my living room, but
and she's dressed in sweaters and everything, and she's in California, where I am in my t-shirt, and I'm in London, UK, which should be colder, but it's not, obviously. You have colder weather than we do here. But yeah, thank you for this excellent introduction, Ashley. Last week we talked about the political stuff and the geographical a bit, and we got some really good questions and mentionings about the stuff we are doing. So thank you for watching our weekly bites on Slovenia. Our plan is to educate this group about Slovenia, and then and when time comes, we will all go to the fun trip to Slovenia, hopefully this summer or by the end of the summer, and just experience my home country and country that I hope we all fell in love with. We always start with sort of the latest on COVID. It's not much changing from the last week. Basically, Slovenia and Europe is opening more and more. I just suggest for the latest, follow the embassy of Slovenia in DC, or embassy of Slovenia in Ottawa, is it Ottawa? And then the Canadian and American the embassies in Ljubljana in Slovenia. So this week, Ashley, we are gonna sort of shrink the map of Europe into the map of Slovenia and show you guys how you get into Slovenia, where Slovenia is, and what's the easiest way to travel from the States to Slovenia. So did you want me? I'll share a screen. Yeah,
that's you share the screen.
Yeah.
You know better than I do.
You see it, don't you? So that's good old Europe. As you can see, with the British Isles and Russia here, and the Nordics and Iceland and everything, Spain and France and Italy and all the whole countries of the Europe. But then this tiny small little chicken here is Slovenia. We call it chicken because it is sort of a shape of a chicken. And it, as you see, and as we talked last week, it lies exactly in the center of Europe, which geographically, historically meant that it is very easy to travel through or to. So that's true. Slovenia is very accessible from all sorts of neighboring countries. And even though we have a very small airport in Ljubljana, in our capital, which doesn't have direct connections with the US, we still have a very good connections with the neighboring countries. And there are many big cities right on the border of Slovenia. So let me try and share a map where we can get whole Slovenia in. What's a second? I'm just gonna go here, and we're gonna do maps Slovenia, and basically you will see what we saw last week or so. Slovenia is very close to big popular tourist cities like Venice. So one of the hub that we would definitely recommend to get to Slovenia if you don't want to have a connection flights is Venice. So you have many flights from many places in the US flying to Venice. I think Delta flies as well, on American. I'm not sure, but I have to check. But then you have others like Alitalia and have all sorts of flights flying to Venice, and then from Venice to Slovenia is by a shuttle bus or by a train takes you to Slovenia, but it's slightly longer. But it's in excess of an hour and a half or to 2 hours, depends where you're going to go to, or just to the border region or to Ljubljana. So it's very, very close and very easy to get to. It's a nice flight to Venice and then a very easy drive to Slovenia. The other option to fly to is Zagreb. They obviously don't have direct flight to the US as well. Dubrovnik has in Croatia, which is slightly too far away to drive. Or you have places like Munich in Germany, which is about 5 hours drive to Slovenia. Sorry, it's here, Munich. Or you have Vienna, the capital of Austria, which is also around 5 hours drive. Or you can still do Italy and go to Milano, which is also around 5 hours drive to Slovenia. So all these are options to fly to Slovenia. But if you don't mind the connection flight, Slovenia has flights with Turkish Airways, Air Serbia, KLM, Air France, British Airways, all these big European airlines, which all then have connection flights to the US, or Lufthansa, of course, as well. So it's fairly easy to get to Slovenia, and it depends what works the best for you. Many of the American airlines, in fact, all of the American airlines, those ones who do transatlantic flights, have a partnership or these alliances with European airlines. So, for example, if you do American, then you have British as well, or Iberia, and so on. If you do United, you have Swiss, I think, and Austrian, and so on. I mean, you have to check which ones are in which alliance. But yeah, I mean, Slovenia is very easy to get to, and also from neighboring countries. So if your guests come to Slovenia, we have partners who can sort them the shuttle service, the sort of a luxury or basic taxi transportation service. This is done all the time. So connections to Venice, to Bologna, to Milano, to Munich, to Vienna, to Budapest, to Zagreb, Croatia. So all these connections can be easily done, and within Slovenia as well. Slovenia has very, very good roads. They are not very full of traffic, and it's a tiny country, which is most important. So you get from Ljubljana to the coastline in hour and 15 minutes, or Ljubljana to Maribor, which is second biggest city, in hour time. So you get from the extremes in 2-3 hours. So it's very easy to go around. We definitely suggest renting a car in Slovenia. I mean, there is public transportation, there are trains and there are buses, but it's a bit more time consuming, obviously. It's a more greener and sustainable way of travel. We always support sustainability in green travel, but if you have clients who are staying for shorter, we would suggest hiring a car hire, which you have all the main car hire companies present in Slovenia as well. Something that you can also do is hire a car, for example, in Italy or in Croatia or in Austria or in Hungary, and then use that car in Slovenia easily. You just have to pay slightly more for the insurance, but many people do this. The one thing to remember is that Slovenia uses a toll system for the highways called the vignettes, like many other countries do in Europe. So basically, you just buy a toll sticker, you put it on your windscreen, and you can use this on the Slovenian highways. They will, however, Slovenia will introduce in future years the electronic highway toll system, similar as you have it in, for example, in California or some other states of the United States. So that is to mind as well. But for example, if some of your clients, or if you in fact don't drive or are not confident of driving in different time zone and different effect, and you like to travel more green, there are still buses and trains. Train wouldn't take you to every single little village, but it will take you to the majority of the places. And some of them are really, really scenic. So for example, you can travel from this area all up to the lakes, and you go from the basically seaside area through the wine region, and you end up being in the beautiful Alpine region. This is one of the most scenic route I would recommend. For example, you travel through places like Triglav National Park, which is stunningly beautiful, and so on. So yeah, it's all option, but people find it very relaxing in a way that the commute time or the travel time is really short, and the scenery changes very quickly. So in a matter of hour, you come from completely different scenery to again a different scenery, and you just enjoy it, and you don't spend hours and hours and hours and hours in traffic, which is good for visitors of the country. I don't know, Ashley, is it anything else in particular?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple of things from my perspective. First, like getting to Slovenia from the US, I've done it a couple ways. The first time I went, I flew to Venice directly on a Delta flight that connected in either Atlanta or JFK. I believe there's direct flights from Atlanta and JFK on Delta to Venice. And then drove, which I thought was very pleasant because it's not that, I didn't drive. I had a tour company pick me up, and we drove from Venice, and our first stop was, where was it? Lake Bled, maybe. It was not, we didn't go all the way to Ljubljana. But it's okay. One of the nice things about that way to get there is it's a beautiful scenery all the way there. So, you know, whether you're comfortable driving or not, it's a very scenic drive from Venice to wherever you're going to Slovenia. So it's a very nice way to experience the location. The second way I went was I flew from JFK to Belgrade on Air Serbia, and then from Belgrade to Ljubljana, which was also a very nice flight. So either way is, you know, great. You could do the US to Istanbul and then to Ljubljana, I believe. Yeah. So either way is fine. You know, when you're working with your clients, if you have any questions on like those specific logistics things, feel free to ask them in our group. I know that Tine would be very happy to answer like questions about tolls and rental cars. But the only other thing I wanted to mention about driving in Slovenia from an American perspective is I would feel very comfortable driving there. Number one, they drive on the same side of the road as us. So that's helpful. It's not on the left side like in England. And I believe, in my opinion, the drivers are very respectful. Like, it's not like, I lived in Naples for a time, and I also lived in Kabul, Afghanistan. I think the driving is very similar in Naples as it is in Kabul, Afghanistan. So, oh shoot, sorry, that's my phone. Yeah. So like there are places I wouldn't be comfortable driving because of the aggression and just the culture of driving. Slovenia is not at all, like I would feel very comfortable driving there. That's just my...
Also, if I may add something, the beauty of when you drive around Slovenia and you're free, there's so many exciting places you can stop on the way. Just like every village has some super nice, like a church or a site or gostinna, which is a inn or restaurant, and it's just, you can go off the beaten track a bit and take some smaller routes and roads, and it's just exciting to go there. So
yeah, the one question I guess I would have is, I don't remember, the road signs, would they make sense to a person who doesn't speak Slovenian, like if they're trying to follow road?
Yeah, I mean, there are internationally recognized signs. There some bigger ones, like on the highway, they would have a English translation as well. Okay. But most of them are just normally international signs, like you have in every country. And I believe I'm not 100% sure, but I believe you don't need an international driving license. You can use your US driving license to drive there. I can use my Slovenian one in the US, so I think it's the same in the other direction. Should be.
Well, I think that was a really great start. Like I said, there's a lot of details that you might concern yourself with if you are trying to coordinate a trip for your clients. So feel free to ask those specific questions to us in the group. Should we just go ahead and teach our word for today?
Yes, let's do it. Let's see what you prepared for us this week.
This is a new one for me. So, oh no, did I lose it? I had it pulled, like the actual picture of it.
Should I type it for you?
Yes, please. So the phrase is what you would say, like the equivalent of bon voyage, bon viaggio, have a great trip, safe travels. So we thought it was applicable for this topic. It's Srečno pot. I don't know.
Pot. Srečno pot, which means exactly what you said, or good speed, or safe travels. Srečno means happy, and pot means the way. So it means like safe travels would be the best translation, or safe journey, it says here, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yay! I learned a new one today, and
So you see, I mean, you're almost on the way of putting together a travel dictionary to Slovenia. So.
Yep. All right, so that's it for today. I think that we will be, we'll join you next week, of course, and I'm not sure what our topic is yet, but we will let you know. And today happens to be World Beekeeping Day, which is an important holiday for Slovenia. If you missed it a couple episodes ago, we talked about foodie travel, foodie concerns in Slovenia, and we talked briefly about this, but beekeeping is a very important aspect of Slovenian culture. So today we're all celebrating the bees.
We take this very seriously. Maybe we'll post something, and you saw our post before as well. But beekeeping is a very big part of Slovenian culture, and we also introduced the beekeeping. Where's Bee Day to the United Nations, and it is down to Slovenia that the world is celebrating the importance of the bees, which we are super excited about.
Yes. So happy Bee Day.
Happy Bee Day, yeah. Okay.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. And see you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye, Ashley.
Bye-bye. If I can figure out how to stop. Here we go.